You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, we are discussing Cognitive Suicide, track 7 from 2012's Failed States LP.
So there is a little essay, some comments on the website that I found, which is pretty interesting because not all songs have an explanation, but this one does. On propaganda.com, it says this song is dedicated to Caster Semenya, a middle distance runner who was subjected to a public and humiliating gender verification after winning the 800-meter World Championships in 2009, and Yudi Similane, a footballer on the South African women's national team who was beaten, raped, and murdered as a correction for being a lesbian and LGBTQ activist. While Yudi's life was tragically cut short, Caster persevered and continues to compete in track at the highest level. The word coward here refers to those who are afraid to think, learn, and look critically at themselves, not those who may hesitate, are afraid, or are too physically weak to fight in the traditional sense. So that's an interesting distinction here. I think that it's useful to point out that the band clarified who they meant as the cowards in the lyrics. But the story of Caster Semenya is super interesting and also continues to this day. Like there's been Caster Semenya news in the summer of 2025. So we'll get to those things in a little bit, but let's catch up a little bit because it's been a while since we've done one of these full episodes, Steve.
We've been on summer break. And it's
Yeah,
funny because we didn't announce that we were going on summer break. We just went on summer break.
dude, it has been so needed. Like I got that book process completed in the spring and I was just gassed. Like
Was the
completely.
last episode we did together the book episode?
Yeah, it was. Before that, we did COINTELPRO, and then we did an episode where we talked about the book for a while. I think that was in June, and ever since then, I've just
Yeah,
been
we
kind
haven't
of
done anything since June, eh?
yeah, we've been sitting back and letting some other people do some really amazing summer bonus episodes. So if you haven't listened to any of the episodes from the summer, there's a variety of cool things. Um, Jamila, our friend from a Bad Religion podcast, did a really cool episode about Cat Guy. I really
Yeah, it was
enjoyed
awesome.
Jamila's episode. And then my friend Kurt from who's a writer at Razor Cake Magazine did a really cool At Peace episode. I also republished something that I did that was formerly paywalled on Patreon from the In Defense of Ska podcast. And they allowed me to release one of their Patreon exclusive episodes, which featured me, David Anthony from As You Were, a podcast about Alkaline Trio, and Cheska Colombo, host of On the Impossible Pod, a Menzingers podcast. So that was an episode that I did,
The
which,
Bangers Embrace episode with Grazi
yep,
and Steve was awesome.
Yep, Steve and Grazzi hosted an amazing reconstruction tour recap where Grazzi went to Europe and saw Propaganda 6 times in a row on their European tour. And then there was also an episode where a listener named Christian did a really short, I think it's only about 5 minutes, but he talked about why he loves How to Clean Everything. And yeah, we did our episode with Strombo in June as well. So there's been a lot, and it's been really nice to kind of sit back and take a break because I never have taken a break from this podcast, and it's really cool to do so. And our most recent episode is another compilation deluxe episode about Mateka Marisakun Rasakan, track 1 from today's Empires Tomorrow's Ashes, featuring a brand new acoustic cover from our friend Matt Comtois in Seattle. So there's been a really cool summer's worth of fun bonus episodes. I just needed a break, and so did you. And we've been riding bikes and having fun, and trying to keep our lives together. So it's been good.
Yeah, we actually had our first bike ride together. Like, was it last week or the week before? Last week, right?
Yeah, we knocked out what was it, 27 or 28 miles, which is what in kilometers, 40 plus.
41 or 42 kilometers. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, it was a
We
great
knocked it out
time.
on one of my regular around the bay and Hamilton Burlington routes.
Really cool route. I really love the finishing stretch in the flats across that little spit of land across Lake Ontario, where there's like houses on the right and lake on the left, and it's just beach, and it's so cool. But the Stretches through Burlington were beautiful, and I really loved getting to see the area on bike because it's just the best way to explore a city is on a bike. Like I am unpersuadable that bikes are the best way to experience a town, if at all possible.
One of my favorite things to do on bikes is real estate tourism.
You showed me some cool stuff in Burlington. I really enjoyed that little stretch. I'm an appreciator of architecture, houses, cool buildings, cool design. I'm a really big fan of that
There's
stuff.
some unique ones on that stretch too.
Well, and if we do, we'll do a ride in Buffalo next summer, and I'll take you on a similar real estate tour because I actually have an architecture guide that I show guests that come stay with me. It's about some of the coolest historic architecture in Buffalo, complete with like little descriptions about a lot of the design that is around Buffalo. So I really enjoyed that you took that approach to showing me your town because real estate tourism is really fun.
No, it's awesome. I try to generally when I'm going on a bike ride, my goal is to see cows. But if I'm running like obviously that ride that we went on, there was no cows anywhere near there. But
Yeah.
if I can't see cows, I want to see cool houses.
Yes, absolutely agree. I do a lot of rural riding. This summer, I also went up to Saranac Lake and Lake Placid in upstate New York in the Adirondack Mountains and summited some mountains over there. Did some really, really great rides up in the mountains in the countryside. Really love it. And I prefer rural riding, but a little good city ripper once in a while is definitely a good time. As long as you don't flat by catching some stray broken glass or staples or something in your tire.
It's always or there's nails or screws in the ground in the city. It's just there's just a mishmash of garbage laying on the ground and here we seem to have, dare I say, significantly worse pavement here.
Your pavement is bad. I feel really lucky that you and I both did not flat on our ride because I was hitting stuff full speed that I was just kind of like, this is a little dodgy. My front tire needs replacing as well. It's got about 7,000 miles on it, I think, at this point. So I'm pretty grateful that I got through that ride over in Hamilton with no flats.
It's difficult to maintain like a decent pace when the roads are that bad.
Yeah, yeah, you really got to just be smart about it. Because you might get through a pothole without a flat, but you might not get through a pothole without a broken fork or a fractured elbow, which has happened to me in the past,
Yeah.
hitting some deep potholes and going over the bars and fracturing my elbow. But
Yeah,
it is what
it's
it is, man. It's bikes. It's bikes. Love them.
yeah, and we're just living our best lives riding bikes. It's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
more do you want?
I mean, you know what else I want? I want football, baby. I'm ready. I'm ready for
It's
some football. How are
back.
you about you?
I mean, if dare I say for the other CFL heads out there like Paul Hodgert and myself, football's been around since about June.
Yeah, yeah. You've been going. You got season tickets to the Ticats up in Hamilton, which is really cool. Tell me a little bit about your experience with the season tickets there.
Honestly, it's such an affordable uh activity. Season tickets for the Ticats are $200
Yeah, yeah. And we spent more than that for one game for an
for the
upcoming
Bills.
Bills
Yeah.
game against the Dolphins.
So
So,
200 bucks and you get like it gives you discount on concessions, discount on merch. You get to watch the warm-ups from on the field. You get like
man,
draft parties. You get all that. It's such a good time and the Ticat there's a really good um like HBO style series about the Ticats on YouTube right now called Made in the Hammer. And
oh,
it talks
cool.
about like the history and the lineage of the team and what the team means to the city, basically connected to all the steelworker unions in the city and just how they're so intertwined. So episode one is out. Episode two drops the 15th. So anyone if you're ever interested in the CFL or the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which are the oldest football team in North America.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, pretty hot summer though. Yeah, for some football.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great going to the games. We've been to I think 5 or 6 games at this point. Cats are currently sitting at 6-5 after being 6-2.
Oh, yikes! It's been a rough couple of weeks, huh?
They're still in first place at 6-5 though. So
Wow. So it's kind of
that
like that. It's like that NFC South division in the NFL where you can be 500 and win the division.
the East Division in the CFL is definitely weaker than the West this year. So it's likely that there's going to be a West team that crosses over in the playoffs because the West has five and the East has four. So if the East teams are complete garbage and all the West teams are good, a West team crosses over to the East for the playoffs to replace the bottom East team that wouldn't make it.
Back in the day, I used to watch the Riders in Saskatchewan a lot. How the Riders doing out there?
The Riders are the top team in the league right now.
Got it. So we got it bringing a championship back to Regina, huh?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully that comes back to Hamilton. We'll see.
We'll see, won't we? How's Winnipeg doing?
Winnipeg are doing they're not doing as great because they lost a lot of their players to Hamilton over the offseason. But I will be going seeing the Hamilton Ticats against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on Friday, September 12th, while you will be at a propaganda show in Toronto.
Okay, so we should talk about that because I do have a couple of things coming up. I'm doing live events. Live events, Steve. Like what? What
Live
is
events.
live events? Well, appearances, events, whatever you want to call them. But I'm going on a book tour.
A book tour. And I heard that while on this book tour, you want everyone, it says in the notes here, you want everyone to refer to you as podcast daddy. And I'm not sure why.
Well, I am a dad and a dad who makes podcasts. So, sure enough, bring it on. Anybody that comes up to me at one of these events and calls me podcast daddy will immediately get it,
You'll
get it,
get a
get it,
sticker.
get a
You'll get
good
a
laugh.
sticker.
Ooh, maybe I will. Maybe I'll bring a stack of stickers. I
If
also have new
you
buttons too.
Yeah, anyone who refers to Greg as podcast daddy gets a button or a sticker.
Yes, I'm actually okay with that. My friend Jeff, North Star Tattoo in Buffalo, does buttons on the side, and he actually gave me a brand new box of buttons. So I will be bringing buttons with me. So I'm gonna go along with this here. And anybody who comes up to me and says, "Hello, podcast daddy," free button, until I run out of stickers. I don't think I have that many stickers left. Maybe 20 or 25 stickers left total from a sticker stack that I ordered a couple of years ago. But anyway, oh, Steve's got a big stack of stickers there. I'm gonna raid your sticker stash. Sticker stash. So I'm doing an appearance on September 13th in Toronto at Emissions Records, the day two of Propagandy's shows in Toronto. So I'll be going there. I'll have some books to sell. Ugh, sickening. And I'll be there from 3 to 5 p.m. Or unless I sell out. If I sell out, I might like peace out and go do something else. And then I will be in Las Vegas in the end of September, and I'm doing a book signing on September 29th at Las Vegas Books from I think from 6 to 7:30 p.m. I'll be there, and then I'm going to Winnipeg on October 11th, and I have something set up at Public Domain. Tickets are available because we'll have live music. Friend of the podcast, Paul Hodgert, who has guest hosted and contributed multiple covers to the podcast, and also kind of is like our resident Discord guru, if you will. Paul will be playing music. Paul organized and booked the venue, and Paul also is receiving a books shipment just to make sure that we have like 30 copies or so available, which doesn't sound like a lot, but
It's a lot.
this book has sold maybe 100 copies worldwide at this point. So 30 books is a lot. And hopefully people will come out even if they don't buy a book. Like come hang out because I'm going to be at Public Domain the entire day and evening
Yeah.
on October 11th. And Mike Coop from the Bonaducci's in Winnipeg, a legendary Winnipeg band, will also be playing music, and I will be getting interviewed live on stage. And I'll be quote unquote in conversation with Sam Thompson from Witch Police. So I have three events coming up, and then I'll be retiring from touring forever.
Yeah, everyone come and see our podcast daddy. It is sitting near you.
Podcast Daddy. What else we got? So you and
So
I are going to see the Bills soon too.
Well, let's talk about the fact that the NFL season starts tonight.
Tonight. Yeah, I'm in two fantasy leagues, and I'm also in your organization that you've set up where we kind of call the winners each week. So I got two drafts in my fantasy leagues, and I got an A+ grade on both drafts. So
That's huge.
I'm putting some people on the chopping block hardcore this year. So either I will win both leagues or I will be dead last. So that's kind of how these things usually work out.
It's going to be an interesting year in the NFL this year. I think some teams got better. I think teams that were good, I think some of them got worse.
I'm hoping for a regression from that team from Missouri.
I think they are one of the teams that got worse.
I sure hope so, but they just I'm so tired of hearing about them. Hate them.
I saw on the news this morning that someone said they were a maybe for the Super Bowl.
A maybe?
And if this person is a maybe for if this person is a yes for the Super Bowl, is the NFL going to front load the Chiefs to the Super Bowl again?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah. I
If Taylor
just
does the halftime show, or is the Chiefs going to make the Super Bowl?
yeah. If they can utilize, I'm definitely a conspiracy theorist about very few things, but I'm definitely a conspiracy theorist about the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs because it makes no sense to me. But that's another time and place, and you can go find all the NFL podcasts out there. But I
You just read
really,
the same internet that my dad reads because my dad is deep into the Kansas City Chiefs conspiracy stuff. That's all he
dude,
talks about during the season is how it's so fixed.
it's so funny to me too that your dad lives in Quebec and he is a deep Kansas City Chiefs conspiracy lore theorist.
Oh,
Like that is
there's no one
funny.
bigger. No one
It
bigger.
it permeates borders. It is global. It's a global phenomenon, the Kansas City Chiefs favoritism. So, if anybody out there listening is a Chiefs fan, you're not welcome here. Get out now. Okay, maybe you can stay, but just know that I am your mortal enemy at this point.
It's uh yeah, I'm kind of happy we're not doing the Chiefs game this year.
We did it last year and we saw a win. So take it, take what you
I
can.
Yeah, and we're doing Miami this year, which I think will be good.
It'll be a
Thursday
fun
nighter.
time. It's going to be Thursday night. It's going to be one of those Amazon broadcast Thursday night games, but which is awesome because Buffalo Bills legend Ryan Fitzpatrick will be in the house doing the broadcast. So hopefully we'll get to see Fitzy doing the "Where else would you rather be than right here, right now?" Beginning at the game. So well, hopefully we'll see that. And Patrina's got an awesome Fitzpatrick jersey, so it's an appropriate game for you and I to go to.
I'm really hoping that Stone Cold will be there so we can see Stone Cold one more time before the stadium closes.
You have to give him a hug because last time I saw him, I told him that my friend thinks about him regularly, and he was like, "Man, that's so nice." So hopefully we'll get to see some Stone Cold action, and then we'll try to track down. Maybe we'll just ask him too where his new season ticket is going to be because that guy is carrying over to the next stadium.
Oh yeah, that guy is the best Bills fan.
Yeah, he's a good time. He's the conductor of the section. So
Yeah.
the fact that the section is like breaking up for the new stadium to open definitely is a little bittersweet. But I'm also on the waiting list for a season ticket for myself at the new stadium. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But it's not been. I'm not very hopeful at the moment because it's just been such a slow and grueling process. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Should be interesting.
All right, so what else we got? We got any? I'm going to see Propagandy on September 12th and
12th.
September 13th in Toronto.
Yes.
I'll be there, so if anybody listening out there will be in Toronto, find me. You can't miss me. I'm gigantic.
Go
Come
see the
say hi.
podcast daddy.
Podcast Daddy in the house. So come see me. Come say hi. I want to meet you if you like the podcast. I'll have hopefully some buttons and stuff with me, but I'll also be just chatting with folks at Emissions Records, 3 to 5
Yeah.
p.m. September 13th. I don't want to date this episode too much. You know what I mean? It's like hard to
Yeah.
talk about like events and stuff like that because if somebody finds this episode 3 years from now, it'll feel so dated. But whatevs. Um, should we talk
Yeah.
about the track and the song and stuff?
Sure. Let's roll.
dark. You saw the shocked and gaping jaws, then it all returned to black. There's a brief surge of panic, their eyes pressed tight. You brought a swarm of confusion to their bleak but simple lives. Cognitive suicide, insular, pathetic minds try to cut you off at the knees so they won't be left behind. Everything is random and unambiguous. Maybe they can understand how they fit into this place. Every time they fail, they seek a victim for their fight. Some dismal need to crush someone beneath their feet. All their accurate words can't ease their wounded hearts, despite their claims they have no maximum peace many gates. Cognitive suicide, insecure, regressive minds, trying to cut you off at the knees so they won't be left behind. Cognitive suicide, insecure, regressive minds, trying to cut you off at the knees so they won't be left behind. Petrified, broken, imaginary Everything's in between. Are they terrified of unobscured and brilliant colors? Perhaps you cracked the door to their own forbidden worlds. Everything's in between. 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 They're terrified of unobscured and brilliant colors. If you crack the door to their own forbidden world, everything's in between. Cognitive suicide, insecure, pathetic minds, try to cut you off at the knees so they won't be left behind.
There's also no guest. I haven't been doing interviews for the podcast for quite some time now. I just feel like I feel like I kind of hit the wall with interviewing, and that's not to say I don't want other people on the podcast, but I've really been enjoying the alternative format bonus episodes where people make their own episode and then we release it here.
Yeah.
So there's no guest on this episode because I just couldn't I couldn't get around to it. Um to
And
f-
that's okay though. You know,
yeah,
don't
yeah,
beat
to
yourself up about it.
yeah, however, I did reach out to the band and ask them what they liked about the song. So I have a couple of comments written that I would like to read from Chris and Todd if you feel this is a good time to do so.
Absolutely. I'm looking
So
at the notes here, and Chris's comment literally matches my comment on my notes. It's funny that
nice.
that's what he said because I wrote the same thing in my notes.
Well, so I reached out to Chris and Todd because they're the most easily reachable. George's a super busy guy. and he does the business side of the band with all the booking and everything. So I try not to send too many questions or requests to Jord because he's always like working super hard behind the scenes on like the business stuff. But I said to Chris, "What do you like about cognitive suicide?" And he said, "Have you asked Todd for a comment?" And I was like, "Yes." So he's like, "Okay." So Chris said, "One thing I really like is the part of the solo where I break into a Dave Mustaine Peace Cells era shred for a couple seconds." So that's Chris's comment about the song.
Yeah, exactly what I wrote.
You wrote down Peace Cells era
I
Megadeth?
well, not the Peace Cells, but I was like, this is very Dave Mustaine Megadeth.
Ooh, cool. Nice. Okay. Well, it's a very purposeful thing that Chris also connects with. So here's what Todd said. Todd said the middle part where it gets a little mellower and the little bass fill on its own are pretty cool. Also, I like the intro and outro riffs. Oh, and Chris's guitar solo being all wild like that. And then I said, yeah, Chris said it is like Peace Sells. And then Todd said, and a little of that old school Woody Weatherman feel. And for anybody who doesn't know, Woody Weatherman is the guitar player from Corrosion of Conformity.
That's that's like the two most perfect comments to go with this song. I was like,
It,
I don't even think we need to talk about it anymore. That's perfect.
it's really great. And so I kind of did a little musical breakdown of the song. I was looking through my Sheet Happens book of the tablature. Uh, Great. It's a very good document to refer back to because it has some specific information. And I was able to identify like the song is like it's like little movements and the pieces of the puzzle that put it all together as a whole. And so we got some tuning here, EADG, transcribed in Sheet Happens. And so the parts that I was able to identify are like the first 15 seconds are like that cool metallic intro, like 4/4, where George's just kind of doing some tom rolls. And
I
I,
feel like the intro of this song is very At Peace esque.
you think?
I feel like it fits in with the At Peace stuff, the intro to this song.
Well, nice. Okay, so like, are you talking about just that first 15 seconds?
Yes.
Okay, because it's like, dude, in Benito's earlier work where it goes in the dun dun ticka ticka dun ticka ticka dun, ancient contagions exhumed. Like that first 15 seconds kind of remind me of that last bit on Benito's earlier work where it breaks into that riff. So I'm with you on that. I feel good about that. And it also kind of reminds me of guiding lights and stuff like
Yeah.
that. The slow riffs in guiding lights where it's just super heavy.
And that's why like you can see this transition that they've had over the course of multiple years. It's been that the elements of it has been there.
Yeah, and what's so crazy is how surprised I was by At Peace as a whole. But then when I come back to songs like this, I'm like, why did At Peace surprise me so much? Like me, of all people who should know this catalog inside and out, and I do, like At Peace was still that surprising to me. It's very bizarre. But then we pop into that 5/4 section from 15 seconds to 35 seconds. And this is my favorite part of the song because it reminds me of like the intro to Cut into the Earth from Potemkin City Limits. The really like noodly, experimental, proggy part. Um, Really, really enjoy that little section. And then from 35 to 145, we have the fast charging song where Todd is singing. So we got this like minute plus section where it's like that ba 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 that drum beat that's kind of like
And
snare
shout out
led.
to Todd's vocals are awesome in this song.
Really good. And I've really enjoyed I mean this record obviously has something like Hadron Collision as well and Rattan Cane. But this record also has Dark Matters. So Dark Matters and Cognitive Suicide are kind of like complementary tunes stylistically, where it's got that driving beat, like you'll hear from 35 to 145 on this song, and then on the part on Dark Matters, where it's got that riff going dun 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 dun. So Todd's got a couple of songs on this record that fit together. Cognitive Suicide and Dark Matters to me fit together stylistically. And then he's got Britannia Kane and Hadron Collision, which stylistically fit together for me on those two songs. So Todd's really cool like this, where he'll have like pairings of songs that stylistically work together. So I really, really like that observation too. And then
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, so I was just gonna say I was gonna go through my notes. What number of minutes? What minute are you at here? I lost where you're at in the notes.
So up until 145,
Okay, 145. Okay,
but then at
my
one
next note's 224. So
yeah, so then 145 to 222, starting with that petrified. It's got that finger tappy sounding guitar lead, and then it ends with everything's in between, and then it hits that bass solo that you're talking about at
that
224.
bass solo is awesome. Love
Yeah,
that.
tell me what you think about that.
And then the shots after the bass solo.
Da da.
Oh God, that hits so hard. It comes in so nice in the song.
Yeah, dun 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 dun. Yeah,
I love that.
really cool. And what's so fun too is looking at the transcription of the bass solo um on Sheet Happens. Like I'm looking at it right now. And it's not like super insane, but it just is so cool. And it's kind of it's almost got like that feel to that opening of Vampires Are Real on At Peace. Just a little faster, but it's really, really cool. And I think that anybody who's pretty competent on bass can learn how to play this. Like I'm looking at the tablature right now, and it's really it's not insane, but it's so perfectly done and it's not overdone.
I just want to highlight just Todd I know I always just talk about Todd, but I just
You're a
want to
big Todd
highlight
stan.
Todd's bass playing is so rock solid.
I know he's so good, isn't he?
Like, man, it just makes you like because I know bass is often overlooked in so many bands, but Todd makes it such an important part of the song without taking away from the song. And I think that's like the best thing about it. It's just always the exact right thing.
Yeah, and the recording of the bass on Failed States is something that I've always particularly loved.
It's got great tone,
Yeah,
unbelievable bass tone.
it's really good, and the bass never gets buried on this record. Like I feel like I can hone in on Todd all the way through this record on every song. Like they did a really great job on the production of this. And once the guitars kind of got cleaned up, I feel like on the remastered version by Jason Livermore, the bass got a little shinier. So I really appreciate the fact that there's two versions of this record, the original master and then the remaster too, because it's nice to compare the two.
What we wouldn't give for a remix of And Justice for All with this type of bass sound?
I know, and it's so funny. Like you can listen to like a reimagined version of Injustice for All like on YouTube with like the bass cranked. So that's kind of cool. But yes, definitely. Can you imagine Injustice for All with a bass sound like this record? Oh my
Oh,
God.
it was huge.
It would be the greatest thrash record of all time. So then from 222 to 250, I feel like this really Megadethy guitar solo part could also be like super good on a Sacrifice record. You know, just really thrashy, really fast, great solos on the guitar, great solo on the bass, and it's just got that really thrashy feel. But the guitar solo is really just wild.
It is ripping.
Yeah, like it's got like some feels like it's got like a little dive bomby action to it, and
It's
really like how short it is as well. It's so short.
I don't want to do it in this episode, but I think we should do another episode where we talk about an entire episode dedicated just to our favorite propaganda guitar solos.
Yeah, dude, and this solo's short too. It's only like seven measures total.
But
Like I
good Lord,
counted
is
it
there a
out.
lot of notes in it?
I know I counted it out in the tablature book here. And it's a short one. It's a really, really short little solo. And then it just hits a brick wall. Isn't that crazy?
It's really really well done.
Yeah, at 305 or 250 it slows back down where it hits that terrified of unobscured and brilliant colors vocal line, and then 305. They do that. Everything's in between. Return. It comes back to that. Chris's vocal, his backing vocal, where he pops up and he goes, everything's in between. Um, really, really fun little return to that part, and then it hits that proggy part from 15 to 35 seconds in the beginning of the song. It returns for the outro. So really nice structure of this song, and it kind of brings back some really cool parts with the which the band sparingly does. Like they only bring us back to something we've already heard if they really feel good about it. Like Chris has talked about that on his recent Patreon episode about Benito's earlier work, where they'll only bring something back if they feel like it absolutely must be heard again. So they must have felt really, really connected to that proggy section in the beginning song of the song from 15 to 35 because they actually brought it back. So that means that they over analyzed that to death about whether to bring it back or not, and they brought it back. So I'm feeling like they feel really good about that section.
It's almost like they're using it as the motive of the song, like how music is done in movies over certain periods of time. Like they'll bring back a specific type of music and specific types of scenes to draw on specific emotions in movies, and it's called a motive. And the way they did it in this song is very reminiscent of that, and the way they introduce it, and then they bring it back again.
Yeah, and I would definitely, obviously, like to refer to something that I have many times in this podcast, and that is the YouTube channel run by somebody named Clem from the band Last Note. Clem's Last Note video playthrough is fantastic. It's so good. It's a real spectacle to watch this song performed. And under Clem's performance, a friend of the podcast, Ben Reichman, commented and said, "Great job with that slow section at 150. Sounds amazing. And the solo, incredible tapping. Ah." So, it was really cool to see a friend of the podcast, Ben Reichman, pop up on Clem's comments section. Um, but yeah, the like it really that killer bass solo section in this song is really great. I love when Todd does those kinds of things, like on the little solo in Benito's earlier work. It is really cool. Um, and stuff like that. So I really and like Failed Imagineer is another really noodly bass song. So I really love it when Todd gets a little noodly with it. Good times.
Always so tasteful too.
Very tasteful. And they never overdo it. You know what I mean? It never feels like, all right, buddy, you can just I've had enough. You know what I mean? It's
As much
always
as I love them, it's never a Primus bass solo.
yeah, yeah. Um, cool. Really good commentary on the music. There's a lot to go over in the lyrics, so I wonder if we should shift gears here and see what we think about the lyrics.
Yeah, let's have at it.
So, okay, so we already previewed what the lyrics are about in the very beginning of this episode, and I think that I'd like to give an overview of some famous examples of when athletes have had their sex questioned in the history of sports and competition. I've got several examples from throughout like the last 7, 8 decades that I think maybe people haven't heard of. I found interesting, and I was wondering if you want me to just kind of go over them. How do you want me to do this?
Yeah, maybe give the summary and then we'll kind of get into it.
Okay, cool. So I just want to go over some examples of people, and then we'll go down through the lyrics line by line. So obviously, the number one example that everybody now is probably most familiar with is Caster Semenya. And Caster Semenya won the 2009 Women's 800-meter World Championship and then was subjected to sex testing due to naturally high testosterone levels. And Caster was sidelined for a year from competition. And then the World Athletics later mandated testosterone suppression for her to compete. And her case becomes a very popular symbol for the struggle between science and human rights and fairness in sports and competition. It's very ongoing. Human Rights Watch posted an article about it a month ago in July of 2025. It says in a landmark case for athletes' rights, Caster Semenya, the star South African runner, won her case at the European Court of Human Rights. The court ruled on July 10th, 2025, that the process before the Court of Arbitration for Sport and the judicial review afforded by Switzerland's Federal Supreme Court regarding sporting regulations on her eligibility to compete were inadequate to protect her rights. Semenya had challenged regulations imposed by World Athletics, the global track and field governing body that bar women with certain differences of sex development, DSD, from competing in the female category unless they medically undergo unnecessary intervention to lower their natural testosterone levels. These regulations have long been criticized as scientifically dubious, invasive, and discriminatory. And let's see what else we can find from this article. So, after years of challenging the systemic abuse of women's athletes and her exclusion from sport on human rights grounds, she may have experienced her most important victory before the European Court. The World Athletics regulations require women like Semenya, whose naturally occurring testosterone levels associated with specific sex development diagnoses fall above a set threshold, to reduce those levels to compete in scientific specific events. And these regulations, in effect since 2019, continue a long and damaging legacy of sex testing in sport. So, the story of Caster Semenya is very ongoing. Have you ever seen her run before?
I have not actually.
Yeah, definitely worth watching some races from Caster Semenya on YouTube. Very dominant competitor. And then the band writes about the example from Udi Similane, and I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly, just to clarify. So if anybody out there is screaming into the void about me mispronouncing Udi Similane, I apologize. But she was a midfielder for South Africa's women's national team, an outspoken LGBT activist, and she was murdered in Kwathama Township in 2008 in South Africa. She was a victim of quote unquote corrective rape, a hate crime in which perpetrators sexually assaulted lesbian women to enforce heterosexual norms, and her death drew international condemnation and highlighted epidemic levels of violence against lesbians in South Africa. So, this is an example that I had never heard of and would never have heard of if it wasn't for this band making note of this in the lyrics to this song. So, that was disturbing example from history for me to learn, because I had never heard the term corrective rape. That's a brand new concept to me, and as upsetting as it is, I'm glad I know now that it exists.
It's horrific.
Yeah. And then another one that people now will be very familiar with is Iman Khalif, the 2024 Olympic boxing gold medalist. She was barred from competing in world boxing pending chromosome testing and appealed to the Court of Arbitration of Sport to no avail. This involved a public smear campaign and accusations of being biologically male, despite official recognition by the IOC. So this is a big example from the Olympics last summer. And then this is very ongoing. Reuters reported 3 days ago on September 1st, 2025, that Algeria's Olympic gold medalist Iman Khalif has appealed to sport's highest court against a world boxing decision barring her from upcoming events unless she undergoes genetic sex testing. And the appeal seeks to overturn the ruling and allow Algeria's Khalif to compete at the 2025 World Boxing Championships without having the test. And it added that it dismissed her request to suspend the decision while the case is heard. So this is a very ongoing and in real time example as well, just showing you how prevalent like the contents of this song are. And there's so many other examples from throughout history. There's a Dutch runner named Fukia Dilemma from the 1950s who was banned for life in 1950 after refusing a mandatory sex verification test and posthumously was identified as intersex. So that's an example. And then Duty Chand from India in 2014. She was an Indian sprinter who was barred from competing in international events due to hyperandrogenism, which is found with naturally elevated testosterone. And she appealed to CAS which suspended the hyperandrogenism policy in 2015, citing insufficient evidence proving it was necessary or proportionate. And then there's the story of Margaret Wambui from Kenya, the 2016 Olympic medalist in the women's 800 meters. She was declared ineligible under World Athletics rules due to her XY karyotype and naturally high testosterone, and she declined medical treatment to lower testosterone and hasn't competed internationally since 2019. And in 2021, gave an interview which she said, "quote I miss running so much," end quote.
It's so sad.
And then a couple more. Annette Negesa from Uganda, facing DSD linked rules. She underwent a gonadectomy, removal of internal testes, in 2012, reportedly under coercion. And the surgery was poorly explained and executed, and it severely impacted her physically and emotionally and effectively ended her elite athletic career. And then Cece Telfer from Canada, is a transgender woman, became the first trans athlete to win an NCAA Division II title in the 400-meter hurdles in 2019. She had met NCAA's hormone suppression requirements and later was deemed ineligible for the U.S. Olympic trials due to World Athletics DSD related rules. And, as is often the case, endured public attacks and mischaracterizations, particularly on the worst invention ever made, social media. So there's several examples, but there's a lot of state level and legal battles in the U.S. going on about this right now. Court cases like West Virginia versus BPJ and Little versus Heckox. The Supreme Court is reviewing those cases, which could lead to national precedents. But I mean, the commentary about Semenya, Wambui, Chand, etc. They are female athletes of color. They're especially vulnerable to racialized and gendered scrutiny for not fitting Western ideals of femininity. Like there is a massive legal, social, and pattern going on here for these regulatory policies and who is excluded. And so that's just some examples from history that I was able to dig up that I think that people should know a little bit about. Even though I cannot speak to them as an expert myself, I've learned a lot looking into this song.
And more recently in the news, within the last 2 days, here in Canada, Alberta, our unfortunate province, Alberta,
And like the, the,
has,
the Texas/Florida of Canada.
yeah, they've got new rules around gender identity and amateur sport that have taken effect as of this Monday, where now athletes who wish to play in female-only sports, now they're going to be asked if they were recorded female at birth. So now Alberta's putting in a whole bunch of new regulations to prevent trans athletes.
I mean that's actually happened as well with USA Cycling recently. USA Cycling, obviously, I'm a big into cycling, but they changed their policy as of September 15th, 2025. There is a new policy for the women's category in cycling. This is a direct quote from usacycling.org. That's just brand new, goes into effect in 11 days from now. Any pursuant to the requirements of set out above, the women's category is limited to individuals who meet the following definition of female. Female means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the large reproductive cell. For purposes of applying this requirement, an individual who was not identified as female at birth may not participate in the women's category at any competitive event. So there's a huge comment and discussion going on about this at actually at a Reddit sub that I found when searching it, called it's the Reddit Lady Cyclists sub, and it's interesting conversation. They've got some great links posted there about what the Minnesota courts have ruled about sports organizations' discriminations against trans women, and then they have a link to the Belgian court talking about the UCI and the US AC in Colorado, which explicitly forbids discrimination against trans people. So there is a really lively online conversation in the United States going on about these recent announcements in the competitive cycling world about this new policy put down by USA Cycling.
Man, that's crazy.
It's a real time thing. I mean, so you know, this song, I mean, this band does this better than anyone, where they only get more relevant with time. You know what I mean? They're always kind of like ahead of the curve on things that are being discussed in the world, and their songs age better than any band I think I've ever come across. So yeah,
Agreed.
um, you want to talk about the lyrics for a little bit?
Yeah, let's get into some
We got the
lyrics.
first line: "You are a flash of light across a sky of total dark." So we got a cool metaphor here for sudden illumination, right? Like or uniqueness, uh, breaking like an oppressive environment, right? So something is stagnant and then it is this sudden illumination. Um, the total dark implies a, it's kind of like if I'm reading about like the message in society, it's like disrupting presence um, in the complacent, boring world, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
And then we've got you shocked. You saw their shocked and gaping jaws, then it all returned to black. So I love that because like Caster Semenya is a fast runner, right? So you have this like dark, this like dark complacency, and then this flash of brilliant light running really, really fast, and then the running is so fast that it goes back to black. Um, so it's a short-lived. The onlookers are reacting with shock, and then the environment goes back to its prior state. Um, so I don't know. What are your thoughts on these first couple lines?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of take that in multi you can kind of take that in multiple different ways. Like the they're shocked and gaping jaws. That also you know is about just how dominant she was when she was running. Like, you know, at witnessing an athletic performance that's like truly like a generational performance is a really special thing to witness. So I think they've captured the specialness of that in that line for sure.
Yeah. Well, and then this next line is really cool too, because so imagine seeing that generational talent and then being like, well, that's impossible, right? So this next line, there was a brief surge of panic, their eyes pressed tight. Um, so they're being exposed to something they don't understand, something they cannot control, and they start to freak out a little bit, right? Um, and then the closing eyes, the eyes pressed tight, could be like a physical metaphor for like willful
Like,
ignorance.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I got from it.
Yeah, and then you brought a swarm of confusion to their bleak but simple lives. Um, so the swarm, like imagine being like swarmed by bees, right? It's like a lot of bees everywhere. It's disrupting you. It's scary. So the target audience is like they're not used to being swarmed with new things. Um,
It's just like their
and
brains can't handle that thinking about something that's just so out of their comfort zone. It's like when you try and explain, like the universe to someone and they're just like, well, I just don't, it's too much. Like for this for some people is just beyond their level of comprehension.
which leads right into the line cognitive suicide, right? It's like this accusation, right? It's like we can't think about it, won't think about it, refuse to think about it. They're choosing ignorance over learning. It's like rejecting what they're seeing with their own eyes. Uh, and then I love this next line: insular, pathetic mind try to cut you off at the knees so they won't be left behind. Um, cut you off at the knees is like sabotaging, right? Someone's voice to maintain their own status as what is normal versus not normal. So if somebody comes in who disrupts the normal, the inclination for the insular is to just be like, well, we can't have that. So it's like the nail that sticks up gets hammered down, right? Um, So it's another kind of reference to today's Empires, tomorrow's Ashes, which is kind of fun. Um, yeah, any thoughts on those on those couple lines? The cognitive suicide, insular pathetic minds.
Yeah, into like the cut you off at the knees thing. I'm like, that's just so beyond relevant because, if you just look at that as anyone who sees any form of like, marginal success at doing something that is there's always going to be people out there looking to cut them down.
Well, and
And
because
that like
Castor's a runner, cut you off at
yeah,
the knees to a runner.
like you see it in a whole bunch, like similarly relevant. Um, there's in the sport of disc golf, there's a trans disc golfer named Natalie Ryan who has been fighting the board of disc golf for years, and to be able to play in the women's division and she, she's reached like moderate success like on the tour, winning like decent amount of money, but like the amount of people that are looking to just like it says cut you off at the knees is insane. The online rhetoric surrounding her eligibility and performance, it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know that you've personally had experiences with disc golf, right? So, I mean, like, did you have any stories that you wanted to share from your own personal experience with this topic?
So many I want to say from 2015 until 20 I want to say 18 or 19, I can't remember. um I had a hand in running the largest women's disc golf event in Canada. The first year we ran it, it was actually the largest one in North America. Um, and I remember on one of the years, either the second or third year of doing it, we had a trans woman that played in our event, and I remember this struggle that we had with the governing body of disc golf, um, because they did not want to allow her to play, but we fought and fought and fought, and we were the first sanctioned event to allow a trans woman to play in it.
Wow. Was there any
It
like
was
pushback and stuff like that on that?
sorry,
Was there any pushback?
no, none.
Got
It
it.
was that we cultivated a culture around the event that was very inclusive, and and yeah, it was a huge success.
Excellent. Well, that's good. So then we go into these next lines. If everything is bland and unambiguous, maybe they can understand how they fit into this place. So, someone who, fits into whatever you want to call like traditional gender norms that like when people look at you, it's like very explainable. Like if you look at me, you know what I mean? I'm pretty explainable. I don't stand out. And if anything, so I'm the bland, I'm the unambiguous, right?
It's funny.
Um,
That's what whenever anyone refers to you, like, oh, it's Greg. Oh yeah, the bland guy.
the
Yeah, that
bland and unambiguous guy.
is the walking mayonnaise. Yep, that's Greg.
Yeah. So I don't have any experience with this, right? Because this has never happened to me. I have never felt excluded, largely. So if somebody's like opposed to complexity and nuance, um, they would probably feel pretty comfortable around me because I am pretty bland and unambiguous, right? And so I don't create any nuance. And so they're trying to feel secure in their own place in the world. So if that's what they seek, they would probably feel really comfortable around me. But if they want to remain in that bubble, then maybe they wouldn't feel comfortable around Castor Semenya. I don't know. It's hard to talk about because I am the bland and unambiguous. You know what I mean? And I don't have any of those personal experiences of feeling excluded like that, or gawked at or attacked in those ways.
No, neither of us do. We're both, as bland as possible.
Bland. that we are the crew, the bland hosts. So every time they fail, they seek a victim for their spite, which is, failure breeds resentment. And if you are a person who does not have large amounts of accomplishments in your life, and you are bitter about that, and then you see someone who you can attack and cut off at the knees for their perceived differences because they are amazing at something. It's kind of how when um they're just creating scapegoats because it's easy because they feel that their own lives and lived experiences have been very mediocre, not exceptional in any way, and so it makes them feel better about themselves.
Maybe this is a bigger conversation and like with regards to this, but like the way society kind of runs in general is that there always needs to be blame and or a scapegoat in every situation. Like as a society, people are not comfortable with just, sometimes accepting things without laying blame or without having a scapegoat. So I find a lot of the time, blame is forced and it's created rather than actually warranted in so many situations because, we run a culture of like uber competitiveness capitalist culture where everyone is just always looking to get ahead and take down people that have more success than them.
Well, and I'm also thinking about a lot of business owners in the United States who have taken to social media the last several months and be like, I can't believe I lost my entire labor force for my construction company and that all my projects are currently on hold because my entire crew just got picked up by ice, and stuff like that. But I can't believe that this isn't what I voted for. There needs to be a better way. This isn't what I meant. You know what I mean? And how the mediocre with their blame lead to these extremely real consequences for the untold amounts of people. So you have the mediocre creating the culture of blame, which leads to actual consequences, that then one day eventually come for them too. Like right now, I'm watching the Florida um, folks remove all vaccination requirements for new
I saw
elementary
that. I
school
was like,
kids.
it's
I'm
going to
like,
be.
this.
Zoe and I had a conversation about that this morning because of, like there's, I don't know if it exists the same there, but here there's a lot of snowbirds that spend their winters down in Florida. I'm
Hmm.
like, it's not going to be very safe for the elderly to be spending time in Florida with vaccine mandates being gone from school. Like,
Yeah, yeah. A Florida man contracts polio is going to be in the news very, very soon. Uh,
it's time to invest in iron lungs right
I
now.
know, I know. So, yeah, the failure breeding resentment, it percolates into so many different realms of society that we in the United States here are now deeply feeling because of our very, very, very mediocre people who have created this culture of blame, expertly, I might add, and are leading to some very real and dangerous consequences, just so far beyond just sports, but like, um, this song, what we just said, the failure breeding resentment and leading to the marginalized people becoming scapegoats, is such a pervasive thing in our society. Um,
It's
it's
like
too
literally every day.
every day, everywhere. Um, and then so here we have this next line that fits right into that. Some dismal need to crush someone beneath their feet. Um, like the power seeking people that I see in society, um, are so disgusting. They are empty. They are, uh, like a void of a person, right? I look at some of these folks on TV and all I see is like a void.
Just dead
Uh,
in the eyes.
yeah, like that FBI director. Oh my God. Um, it's like
Stephen Miller's a great example of that.
yeah, the need to crush people, via the power seeking people. It's just so insane. And it makes me sad, really, really
Yeah.
sad. I wish that public servants and people in power were the brightest lights, of humanity, but wow, it is the opposite. Uh, Kind of mind blowing. And yeah, so then we have all their acrid words won't ease their wounded hearts despite their claims. They have no maps, no keys to any gates. And wow, man, that is so amazing. Whenever you think about how, I'm watching the economy, I'm watching healthcare, I'm watching education, just get worse and worse and worse. Um, I often say, probably to the annoyance of people around me, that wow, things really do just get worse, don't they? Um, and then to have the public people in power say, we've never been better at this, we've never been greater at this, our reputation has never been higher with people around the world. And I'm like, man, I'm looking with my eyes and listening with my ears and observing and thinking about things. And things to me seem to be perceived to be getting worse while I'm being told constantly that things have never been better. And it is like they have no plan other than to tell me how awesome things are. There's no plan.
I mean,
Everything
if
is a
they
lie.
came out and said that, everything is worse than ever, what's that going to do? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
they that you almost certainly have to lie in those situations.
Well, in order to get power, they say everything is worse than
Yeah.
ever. And then once they have power, they say nothing has ever been better. You know what
Well,
I mean?
yeah, to stay in power, right? Like it's that cycle, right?
It's this up and down, careening and jarring experience of what it means to be a person in the world right now and just get yanked along by dipshits and assholes and cowards. It drives me absolutely bananas. Ugh, making me sick. And all those people are just wounded, empty, soulless vampires, right? Who have no plan other than to, the only reason that the president is in power is because he didn't want to go to prison. And he knew that the best way to stay out of prison was to get reelected. Um, so, yay for that. And then we have the return to the lyric cognitive suicide. Insecure, regressive minds try to cut you off at the knees so they won't be left behind. And then I love this one, petrified, frozen to imaginary times. It's like that romanticized false past that never
Yeah.
existed, right? Things were so great in the 1950s, idyllic America. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're like,
Um,
"Oh, my favorite year was 1944." Like,
yeah. Oh my God. Um, Pay no mind. I hope they pass you by. Live your life and don't apologize to the cowards of this world. They're a waste of time. So, like, this is the cowards that the band referred to in that introduction essay that we read earlier. And the narrator, Todd, is advising a detachment to Castor, to Udi, etc., to Margaret Wambui, choosing to move forward without engaging with their detractors. But it's also like, don't self erase, right? To appease
yeah,
these
sh
wimpy, mediocre ding
let
dongs.
let your light shine bright in despite of these people.
Can you imagine how hard that would be to have to be that brave? You know what I mean? To
Oh
continue
my
to
God.
shine your light with every single person just desiring you to admit failure and
The
defeat.
amount of courage that takes and just self-confidence and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And then I love the line, everything's in between. Say, reject binary thinking, right? Acknowledge complexity in identity, experiences, truths. Um, Reject it because there's an in between. And there's also like that notion of everything is connected to everything else, right? And humanity is so big, so diverse, so unexplainable. Um, and it doesn't have to be a binary, right? There can be multiple ways of looking at the world. And are they terrified of unobscured and brilliant colors? Perhaps you cracked the door to their own forbidden worlds. Um, I love that because like everybody's got things inside of them, some truths that maybe they are too afraid to ask and to examine about their own worlds. You know what I mean?
Do you, this is interesting, remind me of something. Do you have people in your life that, I mean, obviously I know the answer, but do you have people that maybe lean more towards the conservative side that ask you but that are so open to new ideas that ask you for information on like certain subjects such as this one and what like the right side of history opinion is of it? Do you have any like curious minds in your life and or family that kind of interact with you in that way, or is everyone that just is kind of just closed off and not open to new ideas?
No, I think that people are generally pretty open when you have one-on-one conversations, but it's when you get that tunnel vision of what television says, right? When you get people on TV uh just beaming straight into you without looking at things from alternative angles, that's the problem to me because um, someone in my family recently we were talking about the color line and the racial divide in my hometown of St. Louis, and I sent over a couple of really cool sources, and this person was really receptive to it. And this is a very conservative person who was like, "Wow, the history of blockbusting and redlining in St. Louis with real estate and racially exclusive loans is really amazing and horrible." And I was like, "I know, right?" And so we were able to connect on that despite that. So I do see
That's
curiosity,
awesome.
and every time I see it, it gives me hope as well.
I find that happens a lot in one-on-one kind of behind closed doors situations where these people can feel like they're not being judged and that they're in a safe space to be able to ask a question of maybe they like for like they don't understand and they're able to ask a question and then have a discussion about it kind of thing. I think that's happening more and more, and I think that's a good thing.
I agree. Yeah, so I'm gonna choose to with things so crazy in the current events, like with like getting rid of like vaccination requirements for children to go to school and exposing like the public to massive health crises, the likes of which we can't even comprehend, and stuff like that. I'm just gonna hope. I'm just gonna try to continue hoping that maybe people can continue to have these like epiphanies that um, the path that we're on is not the one for the common good. Uh, and I'm just gonna leave it at that because I tend to struggle with cynicism once in a while, and maybe I'm just gonna try to be like, you know what, I'm gonna go into my day feeling hopeful, just a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit. Try to retain it.
It's really tough, man. Like, and this is something that I've been working on a lot this year so far too, as well as to try and get rid of as much negativity as possible from my life and negative thought processes and trying to incorporate more optimism and positivity in my life, which is a very difficult thing to do if you follow anything that's happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've had to more or less remove myself from society to be able to make this work. Like I've removed all social media from my life. I've removed watching the news from my life. I've removed almost like I check, I go on the CBC News website once a day. I scan headlines to see if there's anything local that I need to be aware of or whatever. And then I move on with my day and I focus on things that are, positive and ways that I'm able to make change, you know, within my local community or within my local area and do things like that. And it's definitely had a positive effect on my mental health and everything. But I remember if I look back towards last year, like we would text back and forth and be like, "Oh man, what a dumpster fire happening." Oh, it's and I'm like, it really takes its toll on you after a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it, to just kind of go through the process and realize how hard it is to just go through everyday life not thinking negatively. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, and there's plenty of reasons to be negative. I mean, right now going to see you in Canada far more than you're coming to see me in New York with good reason, in my view, and I'm totally fine with that. But it's also me coming over to Hamilton to go on a bike ride is like something that continues to make me feel positive. So, um, and yay for unity in sports, right? I come over there, we rock out some sports, and we have a good time. And it just shows me as well something that we didn't even talk about in this episode is how awesome sports can actually be um, in creating unity and how it's such an awesomely uniting power in society, like going to a Bills game. But then how complicated it gets when you have these outside the box cases like Castor Semenya and Iman Khalif. Um, wow, it's really a jarring experience, right? To have those
Oh,
opposite ends of the spectrum, how amazing
absolutely.
and then how challenging it can also be. Um, so, if anybody out there is listening to this and they have some really cool sources on this that maybe we didn't encounter or stories and examples that we didn't refer to, please let me know and continue to send me some cool examples that you out there listening have found in your own research on this topic.
And just speaking of sports, I just want to quickly shout out watching the US Open this year has been unbelievable.
Nice.
The tennis has been world class this year. It's been so amazing to watch.
Well, and I just don't want to. I want to mention that we were talking privately about this texting yesterday, and I also wanted to say that I recommend the show Breakpoint. If anybody's never seen that, it's like on Netflix, I think, but it's such an awesome behind the scenes tennis documentary. Um, Francis Tiafoe's in it.
Big
Um,
foe.
yeah, yeah. There's some really, really cool. I think Jesse Pagula is in it. But it's like people chasing their first major tournament win, right? So it's a really cool thing for like up and coming
Is Blake
folks.
Shel no, is Ben Shelton in it?
Ben Shelton's in it for sure. Yep. Yeah.
Man, that guy is a rock star in tennis. That
He's
dude
a
is
beast.
just, oh my God. It was heartbreaking when he had to withdraw this year from the US Open, but man, he is just an absolute beast.
Yeah, and Carlos Alcaraz is in it before he had ever won any majors.
And now he just can't stop winning.
I know. So it's cool. It's really cool. So anyway, I found a couple online comments on YouTube under this song. One person said, "Best song ever from Propagandy, brilliant." Another said, "Best Propagandy song," and that's saying a lot. Another one said, "Their lyrics are so intelligent. I just come to absorb knowledge." So there's a small presence out there who ranks this song extraordinarily highly in the discography of Propagandy, and I am wondering what your ranking of this particular song is.
I think it's definitely in the upper tier of songs. Absolutely. Um, if I were to give it a rating, that would be 3.5 podcast daddies out of 5.
Nice. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Really dig this one. It's very unique, and the song's got me thinking a lot. Um, and it only ages well. It
Yeah.
it becomes more relevant, the content specifically over time. Um, so it's got a lot of staying power for me. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the band play it a whole lot anymore. But I do have a couple of clips that I would like to play on the outro of this episode. So I'm going to put a couple of performances of this song. The first one is from 2013 at Punk Rock Holiday, and then that will fade into the second one from the Garrick in Winnipeg, February 13th, 2016. Um, any other closing thoughts, Steve? What a nice little fun time we've had today.
It was a it's nice to be back after the break, to come back a little more refreshed and with kind of like a clear eyes on things. And I think this was a good episode to do after the break because there was so much that's still so relevant and I think that we made the right call doing this one after summer break.
And the only song that we have left from Failed States is the namesake of the podcast, Unscripted Moments. So the next time you hear a Failed States episode from us, it will be finally after 5+ years, Unscripted Moment.
And it will be entirely unscripted.
It will be very, very fun. Maybe I'll get Keith. Maybe Keith will come back.
That would be great.
Maybe we could have a triple host. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. You can find us on email at propagandipod@gmail.com or on various social media platforms at that name. Remember, thank you so much for joining us, and it's great to hang. Thank you so much for listening to our episode on cognitive suicide. Go Bills.
Go Bills.